He said anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000.
Where did you get the money?
It was my life savings.
Now only the judge can salvage it.
Did you fix her car?
I did not.
That means you just took her money.
No, ma'am, I was trying.
Try. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. You did nothing.
This is Judge Judy. Tara Dern is suing Enrique De La Vara for the return of money she paid him to fix her car after she'd been in an accident. Tara claims Enrique didn't do any work.
Judge's case number 102 on the calendar in the matter of Dern versus De La Vara. Parties have been sworn in.
Miss Dern, you had an accident with your car. According to you, you were rear-ended by someone, and then you went into the car in front of you. Is that what happened?
I was bumped in an accident, and the impact shocked me, and I rear-ended somebody, and it was a really bad accident.
So you had damage to both the front and rear of your car?
Correct.
In what month and year did the accident happen?
July 27th, 2020.
According to your complaint, you had liability insurance on your car, which is a relatively new car, but did not have collision on the car. So whatever expenses were going to be, they were going to be your expenses because of what I understand from your complaint.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
Do you have a police report of that incident?
I do not.
Do you have any paperwork with regard to that incident?
I do not.
Did your insurance company pay the car that you hit?
We're still in the investigation. I do have some pictures of evidence from the accident.
No, I want to know if you have any documentation from your insurance company. Who were your insurance carriers?
Geico. I have Geico insurance.
And you had them on that date, on the date of the accident?
Yes, correct, Your Honor.
Well, you hit the car in front of you. Did you give that car owner your insurance information?
Yes.
Were you contacted by Geico?
Yes.
Did Geico settle that claim?
It's still being under investigation.
Do you have any letters from Geico back and forth?
Not with me, but I have received letters.
That they're still investigating the accident?
Yes, correct.
And police were not called to the scene?
Police were called.
If the police were called, there was a report?
Yes, I didn't bring the information, Your Honor.
You didn't bring the police report?
I didn't bring it.
I'd like to see photographs of your car after the accident. Do you have one full picture of the car? And then you can show me its parts.
Here's the front. This is the rear. I have multiple rears.
Got it. Okay. That's a pretty bad accident. Was anybody hurt?
I was under a lot of shock, but fortunately no one was hurt. I had some chemical burn on my hand, but...
From?
The airbag.
From the airbag?
Yes.
How did you find the defendant who you brought your car to fix?
So I posted something on the San Diego Conscious Community page in regards to looking for someone who specializes under collision repair. So someone that I knew personally referred me to the shop TJ Crossman's, and she specifically asked me to ask for a guy named Ricky. So I said, great, I'm being taken care of. I'm just really looking forward to getting my vehicle fixed. So I
Who
went.
was this person?
This woman is someone that I knew that I thought I could trust.
Who?
Her name is Dulcet.
And how did she say she knew Ricky?
She didn't specify. She just said, here's the shop you should go to. Ask for a guy named Ricky.
So you went and you found Ricky, and Ricky worked at a body shop.
Yes, correct.
Was your car drivable or not?
It was not. I had to get it towed there.
On what date did you get it towed there?
August 4th.
Mr. De La Vara, you're shaking your head no. It wasn't towed to your shop?
No, it was towed to the shop, ma'am. Your Honor, it wasn't a body shop. We're an automotive repair shop. Well, it wasn't a body shop.
Okay. So what kind of work do you do?
I'm a health coach, and I also teach classes. Previously to the accident...
She's not a mechanic.
Yes.
Go ahead. Previous to the accident, what?
I was driving Uber as well. My vehicle was my means of making money, so just extra money.
When you brought your car into this mechanic's shop and you asked for Ricky, he introduced himself. And did you make a side deal with him that he would fix the car on his own time?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Okay. And the side deal that you made with him, which he would not be doing on his boss's time, was how much to fix your car?
He said anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000.
Had you gotten other estimates to fix the car?
No, Your Honor. At the time, I was living in fear. I was very emotional, and I just wanted to get my car fixed. I wasn't thinking clearly at the time.
Where did you get the money?
I just had money. It was my life savings.
You had the money where? In a savings account or in a checking account? In what? What bank?
It was Huntington Bank. It was in my checking account.
Now, you say you wired the defendant money to start working on your car. Do you have proof of that wire?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Here's the first payment of $3,000.
And that went into...
Union, I just went and picked up the cash. It didn't go into an account.
Okay, so she wired it and you picked it up in cash at Western Union.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was $3,000. And then she sent you another payment.
Yes.
When?
I think it was 2 weeks after.
How much did she send you?
Another $2,000.
Did you fix her car?
I did not.
Why not?
I was in the process of getting the parts for the car, and I mean, I tried to save her some money because she was...
How long did it take you to get the parts for the car?
Well, I never got them.
When did she first send you the $3,000? On what date?
I don't remember.
Was that in August?
I don't remember the date, ma'am. It may have been.
What was the date?
It was the day of the accident. The day that she ran into me, or when I met her. That afternoon or the next day, she sent me the money, and I went and picked it up. Thing is that for me to save her the money that I was trying to get her for $5,000, that repair, because I ended up taking it to one of the body shops that we used, and they gave me an estimate, because I was going to try to fix the car through them. It was $10,000. She came into me. I felt super bad. She was...
You had the car for 3 months. What did the car look like after 3 months? You had the car and her money.
It looked the same because...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
It was in the same condition as when it was towed into your shop.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that's outrageous, sir.
Well, the thing is that I was trying to get the parts.
That means you just took her money.
No, ma'am, I was trying.
No, you just took her money. Outrageous.
Okay, ma'am, I was trying to get the parts. I was trying to save her money. When I saw her, she was...
Try. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. You did nothing.
That is correct,
You just
Your Honor.
took her money.
Your Honor, look, this...
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
I actually contacted the woman who referred me to the shop, and I said...
I knew what it was going to cost to repair the car, and I just tried to help her out. Things fell through.
I wouldn't even dare to refer anyone to this person.
It was repairable. It's just extensive repair.
And then later to find that my car wasn't worked on at all.
And like I said, we weren't a body shop. We were just an automotive repair shop, so I was just trying to help her out.
Yes, it's going to be fixed. I have to just slowly make payments as I go.
Well, she went to my work and told them that I stole her money. And that was my only source of income.
I'm glad that justice is served.
I was going to pay for it, but I lost my job, so now there's no way of paying it.
All parties in the matter of Gray versus Farrell. Step to the podium, please.
Kathy Gray is suing Jason and Lavetta Farrell after a run-in with their dogs caused Kathy to fall and injure one of her dogs.
Miss Gray, you and your husband and Mr. Farrell and Mrs. Farrell, all four of you were victims of a fire that occurred in Napa Valley sometime last year. Is that correct? August.
Yes.
And both of your families and your pets were relocated to a hotel, and you were staying in the same hotel.
Correct. Sit down.
You, Mrs. Gray, have 3 Shih Tzus.
I do. I only have 2 now. I did have 3 at the time.
But you had 3 in August.
Correct.
And you have 1 dog, the dog that's with you. And it is your claim that on the 23rd of August, you went out with your 3 Shih Tzus to walk them, and you took your dog out for a walk. You went through the hotel lobby. According to you, at the time you went through the lobby, your dog was on leash. Is that correct? Not an promise, not an answer. Yes is an answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when you got outside, did you take your dog off leash?
No, Your Honor.
Is what you're telling me that your dog was on leash when this incident happened?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Plaintiff says otherwise. I would like you to make sure that what you tell me is true, because I'm not sure whether you are responsible for the vet bills that plaintiff incurred anyway. But it's important to me to have all of the accurate information. Do you understand? This is not a murder trial. Okay. So your dog was, according to you, on leash.
Yes, Your Honor.
And according to you, Miss Gray, your dogs were on leash. You came out of the hotel leash. You had an exchange of words with him. He said something like, my dog is friendly, doesn't bite. And your dogs were excited and barking. That be a fair statement?
I'll tell you the story.
Would that be a fair statement? I'm asking you a question.
They were that way when they saw the defendant's dog, yes.
Yes. They were excited and barking.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I could recreate that situation right now.
Me too.
If I wanted to, which I don't. And what happened is the dogs were sort of running around, your dog, on leash.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Farrell's dog never touched either of your dogs.
No, they did not.
Or you.
No.
Or got within probably 8 feet of you.
Of me or the dogs? Probably 8 feet is probably the distance.
8 feet. I said, didn't get within 8 feet of you or your dogs.
Right.
Your dogs were barking, running around, and you got entangled in their leashes and fell.
No, that's
and
not what happened.
Fell on the dogs.
That isn't what happened.
Did you fall on the dogs?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have to demonstrate how his dog being off leash was the cause of your tripping over your dog.
Come on, they're lying. Their dog was not on a leash.
Kathy Gray is suing Jason and Lavetta Farrell after a run-in with their dogs caused Kathy to fall and injure one of her dogs.
Your dogs were barking, running around, and you got entangled in their leashes and fell.
No, that's not what happened.
Fell on the dogs.
That isn't what happened.
Did you fall on the dogs?
I did fall on the dogs. I fell back on the dogs after I yanked them behind me. My dogs weren't running around. They were sniffing around to go potty, whatever. He came out of the hotel glass door with his dog off leash. There's bushes in between us and him. He looked at me and said, "Don't worry, she doesn't bite." And I said, "It doesn't matter if she bites or not. My dogs will bark. They're Shih Tzus. They're going to bark." So they barked and they all pulled on my leashes. His dog came through the bushes going, "Arr!" And I yanked them back behind me, and I tripped off the curb that was behind me and landed on all three of them. That's exactly what happened, Your Honor.
Well, you tell me, madam, if his dog didn't come within 8 feet of you, what caused his dog to stop?
Because they noticed each other.
My dog very, very fast. If he came out snarling and running towards your dogs, something had to stop him.
My dog, because he
didn't get.
Can I explain what happened?
It was very quick.
Can I show you a picture?
Go ahead.
See, which one should I do? So this one here. So we're walking from this direction. My dogs were up in here sniffing around. I was standing right here with them on their leashes.
Just a second. Hold on a second.
Okay.
You were standing where?
I was standing like
Show
right
me where
here.
you were standing.
Probably somewhere around here.
Okay. Somewhere around here is not an answer. Show me where you were standing. It's your picture.
Right here.
Well, first you showed me closer to the curb.
Well, because, it happened so fast. I was holding their leash. They were sniffing around, and when I yanked them back, I fell off that curb. They came out of this door right here.
Just show me, Miss Gray, I now see where you were standing, and show me where your dogs were sniffing.
All around here.
And don't say anything. Okay, that looks to me about 10 to 12 feet away from you. Were they on retractable leashes or just long leashes?
One
were they
was.
on? Look, no, just listen to me. Don't say I believe. I want you to think. Were they on retractable leashes or short leashes?
It lunged at us, and it was snarling, and its teeth were showing, and it happened so fast, I just yanked my dogs back, and I fell. And it would not have happened if his dog wasn't there.
I'm not buying it.
Okay, you're not buying it, but it's true.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Gray is suing Jason and Lavetta Farrell after a run-in with their dogs caused Kathy to fall and injure one of her dogs. That looks to me about 10 to 12 feet away from you. Were they on retractable leashes or just long leashes?
One
Were
was.
they on? Look, no, just listen to me. Don't say I believe. I want you to think. Were they on retractable leashes or short leashes?
I'm trying to remember.
I have three Shih Tzus, by the way.
I know you do. We were evacuated. We were improvising, so I I think I had one of them on retractable leash. I'm trying to remember. Everything was... But if I did, and I don't think I did because I can't yank that one back. So, no. And the leashes aren't any longer than 8 feet. I think they're only 6-foot leashes.
That's more than 6 feet away from where you were standing if you tripped back over the curb, which is what you said happened.
Yeah, but I thought you asked me if the dog was within 8 feet of my dogs and me.
Where you say you were standing and tripped and fell over that curb, which is what you wrote in your complaint.
Yes.
Your dogs were more than 6 feet away from you.
Well, actually, no, they were in the air.
If they were...
Because I yanked them back behind me and I tripped.
Oh, okay. He's not responsible for you falling and injuring your dog.
Okay. But I have video of his dog off leash.
His dog is off leash.
Your Honor,
is a bad
I had to go through so much.
Miss Gray, that his dog is off leash is not a good thing. You have to demonstrate how his dog being off leash was the proximate cause of your tripping over your dog.
Definitely the reason why I fell.
Then
what do you want to
show me?
What do you want to see? First of all, they're lying. Their dog was not on a leash. They're lying, and she was there.
I am assuming. I'm assuming that their dog was off leash. I'm assuming that their dog was off leash. You have to show a cause between their dog being off leash and you're falling backwards. Now, what I don't believe is that their dog was off leash and lunged at your dog. Because and the reason I don't believe that is I'm a dog owner. If a dog that's off leash is going to attack, cold in its tracks from attacking the little dogs, especially when they're no longer under control of anybody because the person who has control of them is on the floor, then it would have absolutely gone if it was gnarling and snapping as you allege.
It snarled, it lunged at us, and it was snarling, and its teeth were showing, and it happened so fast, I just yanked my dogs back, and I fell. And it would not have happened if his dog wasn't there.
I'm not buying it.
Okay, you're not buying it, but it's true.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I'm not buying it. It doesn't make sense to me. As a dog owner my whole life, I realize that your dogs are Shih Tzus, and you say Shih Tzus bark. Well, I have 3 Shih Tzus. 2 of them bark, 1 of them does not. And they bark at everybody. They bark as soon as they walk in. And the breed is not consistently known as yappers. But your dogs, prior to this case starting, when they walked in, they were the ones that were barking because I was at the bench. They were the ones that went after the bat.
Okay.
And then you picked them up.
Okay.
That's what happened.
You're the judge.
Okay, your case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you. Bye.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
You guys think it's really funny, don't you? You guys lied.
And on the next Judge Judy.
She collided into my bike, and I had to stop my fall before I was hit by a truck. She said, "I'm sorry, but I'm running late for school."
Judge Judy.
I think Judge Judy did justice, and regardless of anything, as you could see, we did not have to talk.
Because they're guilty and they lied.
Dog on or off a leash, her dogs were the aggressors.
They lied that their dog was on a leash.
And she wasn't even on a curb when she fell.
Yes, I saw him 3 times that day with your dog off leash.
I actually already handed the dog to her at the hotel entrance, and when I turned around...
Because it's a bigger dog, it came at us through the bushes snarling, and so of course I'm gonna protect my dogs and fling him behind me.
The lady says, "I'm really sorry," and got tangled up. She had 1 leash that divided into 3.
It all happened like bam, and yes, when they all noticed each other, my dogs barked.
Got tangled.
I think I did, but I tripped off the curb.
I was upset about her dog's leg being broken in the middle of it.
And I landed on all 3 dogs.
We did as much as we could. My animal is a service dog. She goes to old folks' homes and wonderful with children. She just couldn't contain her dogs at that point.
And they also told me they were going to pay half the vet bill.
Not at all aggressive.
You did.
I send, my best wishes to her and her dog.
I hope you guys are happy your karma's going to get you.
Why did you leave your mother's?
I ran away after she sent me to jail.
She didn't send you. The police took you to jail.
A young woman runs into trouble.
So you moved in with your grandfather.
Or does it run in the family?
He punched you?
And that's when the chokehold happened.
I wouldn't call it a chokehold. I grabbed him.
He's on parole for first-degree murder.
This is Judge Judy.
23-year-old Cassandra Currier is suing her grandfather, Michael Walker, for an illegal eviction, a false restraining order, and physical abuse.
Order. All rise. It's case number 432. Welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Currier, how old are you?
23.
What do you do for a living?
I'm unemployed at the moment.
Prior to moving in with your grandfather, who were you living with?
My mother.
For how long?
2 months.
Prior to that, where were you living?
My grandfather.
Prior to living with your mother, you were living with your grandfather.
Correct.
And then you moved back with your grandfather.
Correct.
In what month did you move into your mother's?
May 17th, 2019.
And why did you leave your mother's?
I ran away after she sent me to jail.
She sent you to jail for... She didn't send you. The police took you to jail.
False accusations of domestic violence.
She made an allegation against you of domestic violence.
Correct.
Now, prior to living with your mother, you say you were living with your grandfather.
Correct.
Where were you living with your grandfather?
Tustin, California.
And why did you leave to go to your mother's house?
There was issues within the household between all of us, or betwixt all of us.
Well, not all of you. There was you and your grandfather. Who else?
And my mother. She moved in. She lost her house.
But then she moved out and you moved with her.
Correct.
And then you moved back with your grandfather.
Correct.
After your mother had you arrested, and you stayed with him until when?
From July 7th to July 19th.
Of 2019.
Correct.
You're suing him for an illegal eviction in July of 2019?
No, ma'am.
What eviction?
The eviction that took place on December 20th.
So you moved in with your grandfather just for a short period of time, 7/7 to 7/19, and then you left.
In between.
And where did you go?
In between that time, we moved on July 24th to a house in 29 Palms.
Who was working?
No one.
Who was paying the rent?
My grandfather.
Okay.
He bought a house with the VA loan.
And you moved in together then on 7/24, so you moved in with your grandfather. Were you paying any of the expenses?
Yes.
What expenses?
Cell phone, car
that's
payment.
your cell phone?
My cell phone, correct, on his
good for
account.
you. What else?
Not true here.
What house expenses were you paying?
None.
None. Okay, so you were a guest in his house. Look at me. So you were a guest in your grandfather's house.
Incorrect.
Like if I invited one of my grandchildren to come and move in.
The only...
just a second. One of my grandkids said to me, "Can I come and stay with you, Nana?" And I said, "Sure." And then they got sassy or nasty or did something I didn't like, and I said, "Pack up and go." You think that that's an illegal eviction?
No, he can only have me living with him. He's on parole for first-degree murder.
Just a second. I didn't ask you that. I know that you wanted to get that in there. But what I'm asking you is, you live expenses. So you were living as a guest in your grandfather's house.
Correct.
Well, then he can't illegally evict you.
The only reason he can live in this house is because of me. It's on his parole.
Who cares?
I care.
What? Well, I don't care. The law doesn't care. You may care, but the law doesn't care. You're a guest in his house. He's paying the expenses on the house. You're living with him, and if something happens, and he said to you, "I don't want you to live here anymore. Goodbye, pack up and leave," that's what you have to do. You're a guest, and if a parole board wants to come after him for that, that's their prerogative. That has nothing to do with you. Where did you move to in December when you had this kerfuffle with your grandfather?
My car.
When was the last time you had a real job?
May 17th.
When you were living with your mother?
Yes and no. That was the last day that I left from my job. It was Robert Half International. I was working there for March to May.
For 3 months?
Correct. Before that, I was a general manager for 2 years, House of Pokey.
Well, why don't you have a job now?
It's been difficult as far as living in my car for the longest time. I did have a job. I signed paperwork, submitted it. I was under the impression that I was going to be getting paid $3,000 a month for a shipping and receiving clerk. And when it came to February, didn't hear back from anybody.
Just a minute, a shipping and receiving of what?
Clerk.
Did you work for somebody?
I did.
And you worked for them and you didn't get paid?
No.
In February?
No, ma'am.
Do you know why?
No one's responded.
Who is this?
This is Christopher.
No, you don't have to get up.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is he?
A friend. He's allowing me to stay at his house.
Where?
Pomona.
Okay, so you're not living in your car anymore.
Not since December 27th.
Oh, well, that's great. Nice of you.
Ma'am.
So you're staying with him?
Correct.
And looking for work?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. The last part of your lawsuit, because he doesn't owe you for an illegal eviction, he filed a restraining order to keep you out of the house because you evidently didn't want to leave. You have a punitive damage for physical abuse. You want to tell me about that?
Yes. So it started on November 17th of 2019.
November 17th,
Yes.
2019.
Yeah, at around 9 a.m.
And what happened?
There was an altercation that had occurred betwixt my grandfather and I, resulting in him putting me in a chokehold and putting his hands on me, physically abusing me.
No, that's two different things. Now, is that what he did? He punched you?
He did.
Do you have any photographs of injuries?
I do not.
Okay. And what was the argument about?
Over me touching the electrical box to the house.
What do you mean touching the electrical box? Explain it.
The house that we had bought was...
No, you didn't buy it together. He bought it. You had no money. You had no job. He got a VA
Correct.
loan. And the fact that he may need someone to live with him right now, he's here and nobody's taking him into custody because you're not living with him, okay? So I want you to get that windshield wiper that out of your head. What do you mean touching the electrical box?
I was trying to figure out why our well pump wasn't working or why our refrigerator wasn't receiving water to produce ice.
And?
As well as filtered water to the sink, and I have a video of that.
And?
It resulted in me taking a loose wire from the floor. When I picked it up, it sparked, so the next move I made was went to the electrical box to turn off the power, thus not getting a spark anymore. He was upset at the fact that I'm not an electrician, so I should mind my own business in that department.
Okay, so he said to you, don't do that. Don't touch anything that you don't know anything about. You're not an electrician. And what did you say to him?
I didn't say anything, and that was an issue to him, that I wasn't responding.
Go ahead.
So I couldn't exit out the front door.
And?
I went underneath his arm to escape, and that's when the chokehold happened.
You want to tell me your version of that event on the 17th, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I was on the ground underneath the tractor, working on the tractor. I heard an electrical explosion, and I heard her say, "Oh!" I came out from under the tractor. I thought she'd been electrocuted. And she was standing near the well pump, and there was evidence of a large spark. She had tried to attach a 240-volt wire to ground. I said, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm trying to find out why we're not getting any water." We were getting water, Your Honor. She was confused. So she went in. She said, "Which one of these breakers turns off the pump?" I said, "Leave it alone. It's none of your business. It has nothing to do with you. Leave the pump alone."
Incorrect. I didn't ask him.
Don't speak. He didn't interrupt you. Go ahead.
So she went to the electrical box, and she turned a breaker off that said pump on it. It's a little wrong pump, not the pump that she was messing with. And then she started heading back out to the pump. And I did stand in her way, and I was not going to let her go back out to the pump. And she charged me. And she went under me and knocked me backwards out the door. If I had not grabbed onto her, I would have landed on my... Call it a chokehold. I grabbed her.
Did you punch her?
No, I did not.
I don't believe that either. When's the next incident of assault?
Okay, I also have November 15th.
And what happened on November 15th?
There was an animal abuse, and what I'm referring to is a dog that that was under our care for Rover.com. It's a dog sitting business. He overdosed her for 3 counts. Instead of giving her 3 cc's of insulin, he gave her 30. And unfortunately, she had multiple seizures and died.
What does that have to do with you?
Well, that's a part of abuse.
Next.
November 8th, I ended up calling the police on my grandfather.
Tell me what happened.
Correction, December 12th.
Go ahead.
So my grandfather had, the first event was he called the police department and filed a false accusation that I had stolen a cell phone worth $1,000 of his. So when I arrived back from the Sprint store that day, he held out his phone to me, and there was an officer that stated he was going to be arresting me on a felony charge for this cell phone. The reason how this cell phone came into play was the altercation betwixt my grandfather and I of him laying his hands on me. Later that night, I threatened this abuse.
Well, just a second. You gave me two instances that happened November 15th that happened with a dog. It had nothing to do with you. Then you told me about November 17th, when you got into a family dispute because you were touching his property and he grabbed hold of you. Did not punch you. You don't have any evidence of that. So you're still living in the same house.
Correct.
Right? So now we're talking about almost a month later.
Yes. That next incident was the cell phone.
And you were living in his house for that month.
Correct.
Next.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Finding a job for an able-bodied 23-year-old person is not so difficult. There are help wanted signs all over for all kinds of positions. You may not love them, but they're a place to start.
And later today.
Tell me what happened.
It was after 11 o'clock at that time. It was closer to 12.
Well, actually, you say it was about 9.
No, it was just late.
You said it was about, I'm reading your answer.
Cassandra Courier says her grandfather, Michael Walker, evicted her by way of a false restraining order. She also claims her...
Miss Courier, I'm going to suggest that you're a young woman, you're 23 years old, you're unemployed. I'm going to suggest to you that you have somebody who appears to be a nice person. He's letting you live in his house while you look for a job, okay? Finding a particular job isn't always easy. But finding a job for an able-bodied 23-year-old person is not so difficult. There are help wanted signs all over for all kinds of positions. You may not love them, but they're a place to start. Do you work?
Not currently right now, ma'am. I'm going to school.
And who takes care of you?
I'm at my parents' house currently.
So she's living with you in your parents' house?
That's correct, ma'am.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much. I've had enough of this case. Thank you. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I feel threatened for my life.
I didn't owe my granddaughter anything. I was trying to help her.
The physical abuse of living with somebody who did 30 years.
She ran up $14,000 on my credit cards. I had to take my credit cards away from her.
I want to live my life.
I still love her.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter, Rogers versus Robinson. Step forward.
Sean Rogers Sr. is suing his ex-girlfriend, Carla Robinson, for hospital bills and lost wages after he broke his foot when she molested.
Was the defendant and you had a relationship for a period of time. That didn't work out. While you were involved in this relationship, you had some property at her house, clothes and other things. Did you live together?
No, I spent a lot of nights at her house.
So you had things there?
Yeah.
And it is your allegation that when you went to retrieve some of that property, there was an altercation which resulted in you having a broken foot.
Yes.
And that Miss Robinson is responsible for that.
Yes.
So I see your foot is in a boot.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me when this happened.
This happened, it was like 1st of November.
So what happened on November 1st?
Well, I called her. I wanted to pick up some items from her house, so...
What items?
House shoes, clothing, toothbrush.
What time did you call her?
It was approximately around 8:30 p.m.
Did you speak to her?
Yes. I spoke with her on the telephone, telling her I was on my way.
You told her you were on your way, you didn't ask. So far, is that correct that he called and said,
No,
I'm
that's
on
not
my
exactly
way?
what happened, no.
Well, tell me what happened.
Okay. Mr. Rogers have a very bad habit of...
Don't tell me what
it
has
was
happened.
after 11 o'clock at that time. It was closer to 12, actually.
Hold on a second. Well, actually, you say it was about 9.
No, it was just late.
You said it was about, I'm reading your answer.
Right.
What I'm telling you was,
okay.
That's what you said in your
okay.
answer.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection that it wasn't midnight?
It seemed like it was a lot later, but that's what I said.
Okay, and go ahead.
Okay, and so at that time I didn't want to open the door, not without somebody being an attendant or something like that. So I offered to call my sister to be there, but he didn't want that. So I never opened the door for Mr. Rogers. I let him ramp and rave outside. So at this point in time, I did not want to let Mr. Rogers in, which he intentionally gets mad and takes the mailbox off the house and threw it, and then threw some garbage cans and some other stuff. So when I heard him do the sing that I call it outside, I didn't open the door or entertain it. I didn't know until the next day. I didn't know until the next day that he's supposed to be hurt his leg.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you have a broken foot.
At first, when it broke, I'm thinking it's like severe sprain. I'm like that manly man.
I want to know when you went to the doctor.
I went the second, and they told me that my insurance
Don't tell me what they told you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sean Rogers Sr. is suing his ex-girlfriend, Carla Robinson, for hospital bills and lost wages after he broke his foot when she mowed.
Why didn't you just give him his things?
Because prior to this, Mr. Rogers, once before, and this time, maybe that's why I got this mixed up, Your Honor, is because then it was 11 to 12 o'clock at night. The officers could tell you, because he called the officers on himself to come get a saw, and it was about 12 o'clock at that time at night, and I explained to them I wasn't going to open my door, and after speaking with Mr. Rogers, they saw why I would not open my door, and then I proceeded to give him his saw at that point in time, but he likes to wait till these...
With the police officer?
Yes.
But you had other things that were in the house, clothes, shoes.
Right, and at that time, I could not locate it, everything that they were looking for, because I would wash these things and hand them to them.
Who's they?
The officers, because they stood at the door for me while I get those things. The second time, I just didn't open the door at all.
So the second time, which is on November 1st, when he came to the house, you didn't open the door at all?
No, Your Honor. I opened the chasing door. It's like a storm.
Who did you go there with?
A friend of mine drove me around there.
A friend drove you there?
Yeah.
Where is he?
He couldn't make it because of work.
What do you do for working, Mr. Rogers?
Well, I'm a direct salesman. I walk through the city selling socks, T-shirts, boxers. I have a large clientele of people. Everybody know me in the metro area. To
So
everybody.
you sell things on the street?
Yes, directly.
Okay. Now, I'd like to see your medical records, sir.
This is what I have because...
no, I'd like to see your medical records. That's what this case is about.
Here you are.
Sir, I don't see that you went to the doctor's office or a hospital either November 1st, November 2nd, November 3rd, November 4th, November 5th, November 6th, November 7th, November 8th, November 9th, November 10th, November 11th, November 12th, November 13th, November 14th, November 15th, November 16th.
There's an explanation for that, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Go ahead.
When I went on the 2nd, my United Care health insurance had elapsed, so I just come out of Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which was...
Sir, I can't help you without medical records. I can't help you with that. I have to see a doctor who saw you. If you have a broken foot, you have a doctor who sees you, who was reported, it's not helping you.
Judge Judy, okay, at first when it broke, I'm thinking it's like severe sprain. I'm like that manly man.
I want to know when you went to the doctor.
I went the 2nd, and when I went the 2nd, they told me that my insurance
Don't tell me what they told you.
Right, and so I went later.
What date later?
I went on the 19th.
Goodbye, Mr. Rogers. We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please excuse you to step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She totally caught me off guard, just started punching me. She had pushed me down.
How did her nose get broken, Miss Reyes? You did, in fact, punch her.
Next, Judge Judy.
My my foot is broke. It didn't get broken any other time after the fact.
I always knew that she was going to see through it.
I went backwards after handing me my stuff, and all my weight landed on my foot.
I did hear something outside, but that's what he does. He's an actor.
She's just got a feisty way when she's upset.
Don't come knocking.
A day at the vet.
She backed right up.
Week of worry.
We spent, all 7 days out looking.
Fortunately, the dog came back.
She was a mess.
Is the doctor in the doghouse?
She was yelling at me on the phone.
She actually told me it was all my fault that my dog had gotten out.
I said, we are both at fault.
No, actually, that's not true.
This is Judge Judy. Tiffany Best is suing veterinarian Dr. Angelina Beeks for losing her Australian Shepherd, Callie.
Judge, this is case number 50 on the calendar in the matter of Best versus Beeks. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Thanks, Bert. Miss Best, you have a dog. What kind?
She's an Australian Shepherd.
How long have you had her?
For about a year and a half now.
What kind of facility do the defendants own?
It's a veterinary mobile clinic.
And who is the vet?
I am, Your Honor.
Do you have an office in addition to having the mobile clinic?
No, I do not. I go to several different places in the high desert where they don't have veterinarians. My main purpose is to help spay and neuter dogs and cats so we're not killing so many in the shelters. So I go where there aren't vets.
Okay. Where did you go to school?
Ross University Veterinary Medicine in the Caribbean.
How long a program is that?
It takes about 4 years. You have students don't take a break and they'll get out in 3.5 years. So some of us do 4 years, some do 3.5. I did 4.
Where in the Caribbean?
So you do 3 years down on the island in St. Kitts, and then you do your last year here in the United States at one of the veterinarian schools. My last year was at LSU in Baton Rouge.
And in what year did you attend there?
2010, and I graduated in 2014.
So you started in the Caribbean in 2010?
Yeah, it was, I believe I started in May of 2010, and then I finished at LSU in June of 2014.
And in what state are you board certified?
California.
Have you ever had a veterinary practice other than a mobile spay-neuter unit?
No, I have not. I worked at a practice for 3.5 years. I worked at Bear Valley Animal Hospital in Apple Valley for 3.5 years. I was one of the main surgeons for spay and neuter and other surgeries.
You had your dog for how long before you decided to have her spayed?
I had her for a year. What had happened was we were going to have her spayed previously, but we had a neighbor's dog jump the fence and she ended up pregnant. So what we did is we waited until she was done. She had the puppies in June, and then I scheduled this for the 31st of August.
Just a minute. She had the puppies
Middle of June. I believe it was June 18th.
How many puppies did she have? All of this becomes relevant. All be tied together.
Oh,
how many puppies did she have?
She had 9.
What was the father of these 9 puppies? What kind of dog?
German Shepherd.
So they were big puppies?
Yeah. They weren't very big, but I've never delivered puppies before, so I don't really have anything to base it off of.
And all 9 puppies survived?
Yes.
And did you give them away, sell them? What did you do?
I gave them away, actually, to friends and family.
How old were they when you gave them away?
9 weeks.
Okay, and during the first 6-7 weeks, during that period of time, your dog nursed the puppies, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this is your lawsuit. About 2 months after she had the puppies, you scheduled an appointment with the defendant to have her spayed because you didn't want to have that kind of accident again.
Yes, ma'am.
And you do understand that if you didn't intend to breed her, she should have been spayed well before she was a year old.
Oh, okay.
You do get that?
I do now. I haven't had to do it before.
Because she had already been through at least one heat period.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Okay. She went to the defendants. While she was in the defendant's care, she escaped, and she was gone, according to you, for 7 days.
Yes.
Fortunately, she made her way home, and she's back. $5,000. You want both actual damages for the vet services and the punitive damages just for losing the dog. I don't understand. You'll have to explain that to me, other than the fact that You were probably very upset that the dog was missing, which I actually do understand. I don't know whether that's something that you can be compensated for unless, of course, you went and sought psychiatric care as a result of this. So you have some sort of damage. I don't know how to gauge your sadness because the puppy was missing. In any event, what day did you bring the puppy to the defendant, or what day did the defendant pick the puppy up?
I dropped off my dog, Callie, on August 31st at 9:35 in the morning.
And where is the defendant located?
About 10 miles from me, up in the Marianas almost. It's all dirt area, dirt fields, horse property out there.
When you dropped it off, did you drop it off to this mobile vet unit, or did you drop it off to a house?
It was her home, but the mobile vet unit is parked in front, inside the gate.
Did you see any other dogs there?
Yes, there was a whole line of vehicles. So what we had to do is line up and then let them know we were there, sign the paperwork, and then they would send somebody out to get our animal from us.
On what date were you notified that the dog was missing?
It was the same day, August 31st, and I got a phone call between 11:43 and 11:40.
Who did you speak to?
It was either Eric or Derek. It was hard to understand over the phone. He had called me.
Who's Derek Eric? Just one second. Who's Derek Eric?
It's Garrett. Garrett is my surgical technician.
Is he here today?
No, he is not. My son, who has been helping me since COVID, he was the one he's also helping out as a veterinary assistant. So he was the one who actually went to get the dog to bring it to the truck to be spayed. And that's who it got away from.
Okay, so you got the call.
Yes, I got the phone call, and he just told me he sounded very panicked, which rightfully so, I understood that. He was very panicked. He said, could you please come back over? I was just told to call you to see if the owner would come help look for your dog. And I said, wait a minute, how did that happen? Because, I was baffled. And he said that, well, a slip leash wasn't used and the front gate was left open to the property. And he said that the front gate is never left open when there's other animals there.
Did he say who left it open?
No, he did not. He said that there's a newer employee working there and that he basically blamed him. And I didn't get a name until later on. So I loaded up my kids, and my daughter was mid-school on the distance learning. I had to take her off of it, apologize to the teacher, load them in the truck, and rush over there. And so when I got there, Mrs. B is outside. She didn't say anything to me. She didn't acknowledge me. She just stood there with her arms crossed and a dirty look on her face. And I followed Garrett. I apologize for messing his name up earlier. He told me to get back in the vehicle and follow him, and he'll take me to where Callie was last seen. And I did. I followed him in the vehicle. We saw no signs of her, but then we saw, I believe, Chris. I think that is her son's name. We saw him, and he was running out there looking for her. He had Callie's leash and collar in his hands, and he was running up the sides of the hills. Because like I said, out there, it's all dirt. It's just fields, dirt, and sporadic homes.
On what date did Kelly return home?
September 6th, around 5 p.m.
Tell me how that happened.
To be honest, I'm not sure how it happened. I was very thankful for it, though. We were out looking. We spent, all 7 days out looking. It was over 100-degree temperature. There were a few rescues that had reached out and said, always try to take the same path home. And, we would do the little treats out the door that were her favorite with my kids, trying to find her. So we would always take the same path back, hoping that she would just catch a scent. We were told that dogs can smell for up to a mile. So we were just very hopeful. So... Okay. Yeah, she dug a hole in the backyard to get in.
You were in the house when you saw her, or did she come to the door?
She came to the door. I was cooking dinner. It was around 5 o'clock. We usually... But, she dug a hole. We put some rocks in it to cover it so that we did keep 2 puppies so they don't get out. And she was panting. She was very skinny. She was very dirty. There was nothing bleeding or anything like that, but she had burrs stuck in her. She was a mess and very thirsty, but
she was a mess.
She was a mess.
Do you have a picture of Kelly?
Before or when she came home?
Both.
Okay, I sure do.
I would also, just for my own curiosity, love to see pictures of the puppies that you kept.
Oh, man, I did not bring a picture. Oh, wait, yes, I do. I do have one picture of one of the puppies that we have. Okay, so that's my girl. This is actually just a couple weeks ago. She was just laying there, and I was just checking her. It's usually after we give her a bath, and they're indoor-outdoor dogs. My dogs do not stay outside all day long. Of course, if we're gone, they go outside because
So this is a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And then
the other picture that you have?
The other picture that I have, that's the only picture I took. I was too excited when she got home and wanted to check her out, but that's when she got home. That's the back slider. She was scratching on the slider. I opened the door, and Remy was right there. That's one of her puppies, Remy. But she was just dirty. Her fur is very soft, and it just lays down flat, but it was over 100 degrees for that entire week.
Okay, I'm sure you were happy to see her, and that puppy's as cute as a bug's ear. That puppy is adorable.
Thank you.
You took Kelly to the vet. Do you have the vet bill?
I do have a vet bill.
May I see it, please?
Yes. And I did get the county voucher for $50, but because I used that, I won't be able to use it again because there's a limit on how many county vouchers you're allowed to use.
Did you have her spayed?
Yes, I have her rabies certificate and her spay certificate right here.
So the vet bill for that visit was $204, but you used a voucher, so it was really $254.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Other than the vet bill, did you have any other actual expenses?
Yes, I do. I had to make flyers. She did say she would make some, but the one that she made, she did send it to me. You can't tell that it's even my dog in the picture. It was just a very standard black and white, poorly done one.
So you made your own flyers?
Yes, I made flyers, and then I had to get the staple gun.
Stop. How much were the flyers?
$34 for the flyers and $39.99 for the staple gun.
What other actual expenses did you have?
Other actual expenses were that I had myself and 15 other, a lot of gas out for 7 days looking, and I would like to pay them back because, you know, they helped out of the graciousness of their hearts, but that is something that I believe they deserve back.
What else? So far, your actual expenses were $328. What else?
That was it for actual, because the gas I totaled.
Okay. Forget gas for your friends. Okay, now you want to tell me how this happened? Is your son was there? Is that right?
Yes. So I was actually in doing surgery, and I heard.
I got it. Would you have your son step up, please?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was very nasty on the phone. She wouldn't talk to us really at all. She just sent me a letter demanding $10,000.
So, Miss Best, where did you come up with the figure of $10,000?
Tiffany Best says her Australian Shepherd, Callie, escaped while in the care of veterinarian Dr. Angelina Beeks. She is suing for both actual and punitive damages.
Tell me your name.
My name is Christopher Beeks.
Mr. Beeks, want to tell me how the dog managed to get away?
I was just leading the dog from the cage to Little Spooked, and she backed right out of her own collar, and since the gate was open, she saw, and she took off.
Well, who had left the gate open?
Whoever was checking in clients at the time, if they were still checking any cars that were at the gate.
The plaintiff says that you said to her that this was a new person.
I am the new person.
You're the new person?
Yes.
So the person who was checking people in their cars was whom?
Probably one of the receptionists who take the phone calls and sign in the guests. I was just moving the dog from one place to the other.
And none of those people are new?
No.
Prior to doing what you're doing now, helping your mom, what were you doing?
I worked at Dave & Buster's as a bartender, but because of COVID, everything shut down and haven't been able to really get another bartending job because they pretty much filled those spots as fast as they could.
Got it. And what do you do for your mother?
I just assist with any extra work that she needs at the clinic, whether it's keep an eye on dogs that have just come out of surgery, make sure they're still breathing, moving dogs from one place to another. That's basically the main things that I do as a volunteer.
So you understand, both you and your mom understand, that you are responsible for the actual financial damages that the plaintiff suffered as a result of your negligence. You understand that?
Understood.
Good. And Dr. Beeks? Okay.
I would have spayed the dog for her, you know, had she had brought it back and had been nice to us, but she was very nasty on the phone. She wouldn't talk to us really at all. She just sent me a letter demanding $10,000. That's the only conversations we were having. I had people out looking.
Do you have that letter?
Absolutely.
I'd like to see it.
And this was dated, I believe, the 3rd of September.
Okay. So, Miss Best, where did you come up with the figure of $10,000?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And she was yelling at me on the phone. And then I said, hold on. I said, the collar was not on your dog properly. And she goes, oh, you're blaming this all on me. I said, no, I am not. I said, we are both at fault.
No, actually, that's not true, Dr. Beats.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tiffany Best says veterinarian Dr. Angelina Beeks owes for temporarily losing her Australian Shepherd, Callie.
Where did you come up with the figure of $10,000?
Well, it's a stipulation to do something in writing for small claims court, so that is why I wrote the letter. I did that because I didn't know. And as far as me being rude to them, that is not the case. She actually told me it was all my fault that my dog had gotten out, and then made mention later that that was her son. And I was never once mean to them. I was never mean to Mr. Beeks, not once. When I saw him in person, my kids were crying in the background.
I can imagine that you were upset.
I was, but I never once was mean. I even told him that I understand the accidents happen. And as far as not getting a hold of her, I texted her all day one day, and she never responded until the next day. So honestly, yes, I had to escalate it because she was the one not responding to me.
Your Honor, that's not true. I talked to her that very same day. It was probably around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I called her when I got out of surgery, and I talked to her then, and she was yelling at me on the phone. And then I said, hold on. I said, the collar was not on your dog properly. She slipped out of her own collar, so you didn't check her collar. And she goes, oh, you're blaming this all on me. I said, no, I am not. I said, we are both at fault. One, my son didn't put a slip lead.
No, actually, that's not true, Dr. Beeks. That's not true that you're both at fault. Your facility is at fault for losing the dog. Fortunately, the dog came back.
Yes.
I mean, if your son is new, then that's not plaintiff's fault. If your son, who has training as a bartender, is now a veteran, it's on you. The problem is the amount that you're requesting, even $5,000, doesn't weigh with what happened.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I mean, let us assume that your dog didn't come home.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, Kelly came home.
Yes.
But if she had not come home and was lost permanently, either to someone else or to predators, you could have sued the defendant for Kelly's cost, what you paid for her. That would have been the level of her responsibility.
Okay.
What you want now is, now that you got the dog back, you are certainly entitled to even the money that you spent on a staple gun, which you still have, which you may or may not use in the future. But those are your actual damages. And certainly this was not, there are things that are accidental and there are things that are on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
This was an accident. We clearly would say that this was not a result of anything purposeful on the part of either one of the defendants. It was an accident. And unless you can tell me that you had additional a therapist to get you through this difficult period, your damages are $328, and I'm prepared to compensate you for that.
Okay. The only thing I was including in that, though, is my daughter missed 5 days of school. She couldn't go to school for those 5 days online. So she was having a hard time eating. She was having a hard time sleeping. She'd wake up from nightmares. I mean, that's...
Okay. $328. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
I'm not about to wreck anybody's marriage.
Her boyfriend failed to mention his wife.
She grabbed me and started beating my face.
He's the piece of garbage who broke your vows.
Judge Judy.
Heard the commotion. My son took off after the dog.
It was terrorizing. It was terror for me.
The other tech came in because he went out to help my son once he opened the door to bring the dog in.
The thing is she didn't. We were out every single day for 7 days. We never saw them out searching except for the very first day.
My son was chasing the dog. Garrett went with them. They kind of had her cornered down by the next property.
And I have it in text message proof that they only searched for 4 hours on the first day.
The area is, we're out in the desert, so everything is very big.
At the vet, I said
she was able to get by both of them and took off.
As far as we know, Callie's still around here. We will find her. She's a smart girl.
No, she just had a collar and a leash, and her collar was on loosely, so she was able to...
She maybe even come home.
Pull her head out of the collar. And that's how she got away.
Oh, my gosh. We heard her scratching, opened the back door.
Oh, very happy Callie came home.